We're reading CSX rules. We're on technically for 2014. We're on chapter 11, protection in the bowels and blue signal protection. 1100 required protection in bowls and tracks. 1101 request protection in the bowel tracks in the hump yard before the entering the bowel track with the equipment following the equipment located with the bowel track, traveling a road crossed with the bowl in a motorized vehicle of any type. 1102 the employee requesting the protection must contact the operator remote control switches and state the type of the work to be done, state the track and tracks on which protection is needed, and 3 receive confirmation for the protection is provided. 1103 the employee controlling the remotely controlled switches must line each of the switches against the movement in the track of the tracks being protected. 2 apply the blocking devices to be switched. 3 notify the requesting employee for the protection is provided. 4 not move the protection until they inform the requesting employee that the protection is no longer needed and it's safe to do so. 1104 maintain a written record for the 15 days of each of the occurrence with the protection is provided, but the record must contain name of the craft and the employee requesting the protection, name of the craft and the employee providing the protection, tracks involved, date and time the employee was notified with the time with the tracks was provided, the date and time operator switches are informed with work and was completed with the employees were cleared and affected tracks. 1101 Blue Signal Protection General Rules. 1101 when using the following terms in reference to the blue signal protection, the associated definitions be applied with the blue signal clearly distinguished with the blue flag or the blue light in the day or a blue light at night. It would attach with the operating controls of the locomotive if needed not to be lighted in the inside of the locomotive cab or insufficiently lighted so it to make it a blue signal clear is distinguishable. B. The car shop repair track area of one or more of the tracks and within the area where they're testing the service of the repair, inspection, rebuilding of the railroad rolling equipment is under the exclusive control of the mechanical department personnel. See the effective locking devices when used in relation to the manual operated switch aid derail mains one of the vandal residence, tampered residence, campable being packed and located being locked and unlocked with only the class and the craft and the graph of the group of the employee from which the protection was being provided with the use of the relationship of the remotely controlled switch means in blocking the device effectively prevents the lever and button controlling the switch from beginning with the operated. D. The group of workmen, 2 or more workmen with the same different craft assigned with the work group of the as a unit under the common authority where common communication with each of the other while working is being done. When using full-term blue signal protection associated with the definitions, locomotive, the self-propelled unit of the equipment designed at the moving of the other equipment of the revenue services includes the self-propelled unit designated to carry the freight and passenger traffic on both and may consist of 1 or more units operated with a single control. After the locomotive service tracking area, 1 or more of the tracks are within the area which the testing, servicing, repair, inspection, rebuilding of the locomotives is under exclusive control of the mechanical department. G. Rolling equipment, locomotives, railway cars, and 1 or more of the locomotives coupled to 1 or more of the cars. Switching, providing access to switches. The transverse rolling equipment could be permitted with the rolling equipment to couple with to the equipment being protected. I. Workmen and the railroad employees assigned to the inspection, test, and repair and service of railroad rolling equipment of the components, including the brake system, train, yard crews, excluding the except with where it's assigned to do such work on the railroad rolling equipment that is not part of the train yard movement they have been called to operate. Note that testing does not include the visual operation made by the employee positioned alongside the locomotive passenger car marker inspection when the rear of the train is in the main track of the employee making the inspection has personally contacted the employee at the controls of the locomotive to verify that the train is and will remain insecure against the movement until the inspection has been completed. Note that serving does not include the supply locomotives and passenger cars within the items such as ice, drinking water, tools, sanitary supplies, stationary, and flagging equipment. 1101-2 establishing blue signal protection before workmen go on and under between the rolling equipment except for in the case of the train yard crew assigned to the equipment. 1101-3 blue signals indicated that the workmen are under them between the rolling equipment. When the blue signals are displayed, they may only be removed by the employee of the same craft with the group that displayed them. Equipment must not pass a blue signal. Do not couple or move equipment protected by blue signals except as provided for in the rules of the governing designated locomotive servicing tracks, areas, car shop, repair track areas. 4. Do not place other rolling equipment on the same track. If doing so, reduces the block the visibility of the blue signals, except as provided on the rules of the governing designated locomotive servicing track areas and car shop repair track areas. 1102 establishing blue signal protection. 1102-1 To establish blue signal protection on the main track, display the blue signals at each of the equipment, and 2, on the control locomotive, its location readily visible on the locomotive operator if and a locomotive is attached. 1102 and 2, they establish blue signal protection on the other main track. Display a blue signal on neither signal near each of the manually operated switches that provide access to the track. Line each of the switches that provides access to the track against the movement and locking in the effective locking devices, placing a derail cable capable of restricting access to the portion of the track, provided the derail is positioned not less than 150 feet from the end of the equipment and is locked in derailing position with the effective locking device and a blue signal is displayed. If remotely controlled switches are involved, the employee in the charge of the workmen notifying the operator of the remote control switches that work in the schedule receive the confirmation with the switch operator that each remote control switch is provided with the access onto into the track and on which equipment is located that has been lined against the movement of the track to the track is locked. If the rolling equipment is on the track equipped with one or more crossovers to line both switches on each of the crossovers against the movement through the crossover towards the rolling equipment at each line of the switches, each crossovers that provides the coupling access of the rolling equipment against the movement to the track and lock it with the effective locking device. And 5, attach a blue signal to the controlling locomotive if any of the location readily visible to the locomotive operator at the controls of the locomotive. 1102.3. When emergency repair work it must be performed and blue signals are not available, the locomotive operator must notify an effective measures taken to the protection of the workmen. This does not apply with designated locomotive serving tracks areas and car shop repair track areas. 1103. Remote control switches. When notified that the blue signal protection is required for the workmen of the tracks equipped with remotely controlled switches, the operator of the switches must take the following actions: line each of the switch connected with the affected tracks against the movement and apply the effective locking devices. Inform the employee in charge of the workmen that protection has been provided only after the switches has been lined and locked. Remove the locking device only when informed if the employee is in charge of all the workmen that it's safe to do so, and all employees in the clear to the effective day. Tracks 1103.2. When operating remote control switches must record the following information retaining the information for 15 days: name of the craft and employee requesting the protection, name of the truck involved, date and time of the employee in charge of the workman was notified that the protection was established, the date and time of the operator switches was informed that the protection was no longer required, and the name of the craft and employee who is notified the employer the protection was no longer required. 1104. Locomotives and servicing track area. 1104. Tracking 1104 locomotive service track area. 1104.1 to establish the blue signal protection is designated locomotive in service track area. 1. Display the blue signal at and near each of the switches that provided entrance and departure from the area. Line A switch that provides entrance and departure from the area against the and locked within the effective locking devices. If authorized speed within the area is not more than 5 miles per hour, the derail capable of restricting access to the portion of the track provided within position at least 50 feet from the end of the equipment and to be protected by the blue signal which is locked in the derailing position when the effective locking device and display of the blue signal, and attach a blue signal to each of the control locomotives at a location readily visible to the locomotive operator at the controls of the locomotive of that locomotive. 1104.2 to move a locomotive onto the locomotive servicing track displaying blue signal protection. Move the blue signal from the entrance switch within the area before granting the permission to the employee controlling this locomotive. Then restore the blue signal protection immediately after the locomotive clears the switch. 1104.3 to move the locomotive of the locomotive servicing track displaying the blue signal protection. Remove the blue signal from the controlling locomotive and switch the track to the locomotive with the exist before the granting permission to the employee operating the locomotive. Restore the blue signal protection immediately after the locomotive clears the switch. 1104.4 when operated with an authorized employee under the direction of the person in charge of the working men of the locomotive protected blue signals may be repositioned with the locomotive servicing track area only after the blue signal has been removed from the locomotive to be repositioned and the workmen on the affected track have been notified of the movement. 1104.5 train yard crews may be coupled to the locomotives inside of the locomotive servicing track area only after 1. The blue signal has been removed from the entrance of the switch of the area. 2. The employer responsibility for the workman has informed the locomotive operator that no more work is under or between the equipment as of the affected track. Blue signals have been removed from the effective area. 1105 car shop and repair track. 1105.1 to establish blue signal protection is designated the car shop repair track area. 1. Display all blue signals at and near each switch providing entrances to departure from the area. Line each switch providing entrances and departure from the area against the movement of the area and lock with the effective locking device. If authorized speed with the area not more than 5 miles an hour, derail capability restriction access to the portion of the track provided with the position at least 50 feet from the end of the equipment is to be protected by the blue signal is locked in derailing position when the effect of locking device is in display a blue signal. 11.05.2. When operated by an authorized employee under the direction of the employee in charge of the workman, a car mover may be used to reposition the rolling equipment with a car shop repair track and after the workmen of the affected track have been notified of the movement. 1280 to 1298 is the standard is your chapter 12 in standard inspections, signals and aspects. I go over American signals. These there's Conrail signals or Conrail and chassis. I plan on doing these in a different video though. Thank you.